I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs blown. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make the man and some pressure make a gemstone. Try to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Not the boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, I'm scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Django. Get it from my mama, hip so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing. You need endurance to go in, I got mileage on this pen. I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
guys were checking shoes last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Arthur.
Chloe, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh! You wanna get sued?
Judgment, Arthur.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love him when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's so good to see all of you guys tonight. Thank you all so much for being here on the 1 year mark of Devlin being missing. So Devlin Lee Hatfield Tait went missing out of Lake Odessa, Michigan on April 21st, 2025. So today is 1 year and I want to just talk a little bit about Devlin, who he was and what happened, right? I hate to say it, but the last bit of news coverage or the couple videos that I just put out from Wood 8, they were definitely talking about Devlin in the past tense. And I don't know if that's because law enforcement's looking at it as a 50-50 shot that something bad happened. Well, obviously, if he's been missing for a year, but it's not that they're saying foul play particularly. They think that maybe he hurt himself on one of his walks that he did. Um, I'm not sure what they think 100%, but it kind of seems like that, and we'll get into it. And good to see you, Chuchi. Happy birthday. So good to see you. And I made a birthday video for Chuchi today, so definitely go and check it out. It was later than I expected, and I'm sorry. Today has been so busy. And I wanted to, honor Chuchi for her birthday, and then also, help Jen out with the live. I was so glad I was able to catch her live, and she dropped the link for me to talk about Tony, because I wanted to also do that with her, and then Devlin. I wanted to make sure we can get a video out for Devlin, and just by the skin of my teeth, I got one. I really wish I could have put more pictures in there of people who were close to Devlin or who cared a great deal for Devlin. So hopefully we'll get some of that from the footage. Um, I can't find it yet um, from the vigil tonight, but I heard it was a good turnout. And that's all that matters, right? I was really hoping for that, and I was hoping it went well. So, hey, little Miss Sharon, good to see you. And Coffee Crime and Cats is here. Hello, Coffee Crime and Cats. And Marion is here. Good to see you, Marion. And Bo, good to see you. And thank you guys for wishing Chuchi a happy birthday. Hey, Chili B, good to see you. Hey, Witchy Mama. And also we have, I think so, one more. Meow is here. That's right, Meow is here. And thank you for being here, Meow. Good to see you guys. Welcome in. And Shadow, good to see you. Yeah, so today that's what we're going to be talking about. And, also just what could have happened. They did open up an area, right? Because Lake Odessa has been looked at, and so not as many people have looked in these other areas. So that's, you know, one thing that I think we need to have, that we need to get done in Devlin's case. Now I have some dispatch audio I want to share with you guys. But first, I'd like to kind of tell you a little bit about Devlin's story. So it was Easter Sunday last year, 2025, and he went missing that Monday, right? And so we've kind of went back and examined some of the time before he went missing, as well as afterwards and during and all of that. But Tamara was up on the panel a couple weeks ago, or I think it was even a week ago now. Either way, she was up on the panel talking about how Devlin left at about 7:30 that morning. They just really saw each other in passing, and um, it was very brief, and that he left a little bit earlier than usual, and he was less talkative than usual. And I believe Sabrina said just about the same thing um, in terms of Devlin's demeanor and that sort of thing. So quiet, he just left out of the house. And then he made his way, and there was a sighting of him over at the McDonald's near the Dollar General, where he was seen by the dumpsters. So he makes his way over to Carl's supermarket around 8:15, 8:21. He's checking out, and there is no footage of Devlin that I know of that day that still is in existence, which we'll get a little bit more into that. So unfortunately, uh, Laco Laundry was his next stop, and Laco Laundry did not have their cameras working because they were doing an update that whole weekend, and then apparently still into Monday. So there is no footage of Devlin. His last phone ping was at 11:30 p.m., right? So nothing other than a couple of sightings of Devlin that really haven't been confirmed. Perhaps one about the dog petting. Um, there was a couple of people that kind of corroborated that. And by corroborate, I just mean that both people said they saw him in the area at the same time. Good evening, Tina. Hey, good to see you. If you wanna come up here, I can more than drop the link for you. So if you want to, but no pressure, because I know it's late. Um, but I'm glad you're here. Um, and so that's what's really strange, guys, is that there's nothing of Devlin in town. So when they opened up the maps and they gave us a little bit more information, like they think he might have been walking to one of these one of these areas. Let me pull up the map and make it a little bit easier. Let me see here. Do I have it here? So let me pull this up first. Oh, goodness sakes. Hold on. Because I want to show you guys these videos, but I want to show you this piece while we're talking about the beginning here. All right. Okay. So let me go to this one first, and let me add it up here. All right, so this is kind of what the area looks like, right? Here's where Devlin lives, right on Tupper Lake, right? And he usually kind of, walks through, cuts through sometimes. But he did go down by the dollar store, of course, first, right? And then he makes it over to Carl's Market. And then from there, he goes, I want to say it's like right over here. And I'm sorry, I can't really see it. I just look for those silo things. Um, and it's not far though. It's like right in the same area to Lako Laundry. He does speak with Matt on the phone. Now, Matt is his, um, adopted brother, for lack of a better way to say it. Because Devlin was adopted, right? That's another interesting thing, and something that we need to consider because we are going to talk a little bit about his bio mom, Jessica, who lives in Arizona, because it does come up in this news reel as well. So no worries. I figured you would be, Tina. I just wanted to invite you anyway because anytime. Hey, Kylie's Nail Candy. Little Miss Sharon says, I wonder if they got any cars on footage at the same time, maybe owned by family members. Yeah, well, and I'm wondering about that too, because, and I'm not trying to point the finger at Matt, right? But I'm just saying that he was the last one to talk to Devlin. And I was wondering about that too. But I know he says that he doesn't get around a lot, right? Like it's hard for him to get around, um, because of his weight, respectfully. But I do know like Lorraine has a car, and that sort of thing. I wish they would have maybe done some geofencing in the area to figure out who all was there. But again, just to give you guys some perspective, this is where the phone ping lasted 11:30 p.m. that night, right? So just to kind of show you that. Um, and then I want to share with you this audio. All right.
Thirty-four 16, copy your call.
Good.
It's going to be 1855 Oak Ridge Drive, cross of Walnut Lane, caller is Sabrina Cook. She called to report her nephew missing. She said he normally goes and walks around Lake Odessa during the day, but is normally home around 7 o'clock. He hasn't been seen since 7 o'clock this morning. Was I heard from around 8:15. The Lake Odessa officer is aware and is looking around the village. But if you could check the area as well.
Okay.
Also, be advised, the aunt and said that he's got a friend, Joni Sowers, who lives in a trailer park. There's a possible address for her in the notes as well.
Okay.
I just want to note that Joni Sowers was contacted by police. She also did an interview with Piper. You know, we've listened to that as well, just so you guys know, and we've talked at length about that. Joni did call in. We're going to hear about her later on, calling in the next day, asking about Devlin, right? So I just want to put that out there because this is where Devlin's phone pinged last, and then there was some strange behaviors. I mean, there's always going to be strange behaviors in these cases, but I just think that it's worth examining and looking at everything. And hey, all that is unseen, good to see ya. So, I mean, it's just interesting, and there's things that are very noteworthy without throughout Devlin's case, without blaming anybody, but there's very noteworthy information in terms of how everything went down, and then of course this very peculiar phone ping at 11:30 p.m.
2232. 6436, your status?
Security.
Clearance suspending, 2232.
22 from Central. Go ahead. I ran her caller. She's got a couple of care bonds out of Iron County. 2232.
3416 from 395.
Good.
I can head over to 47 Mandy and check out that address, if that works with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
463 status.
Okay.
You're okay.
Okay, right when he comes in and he says, I'm going to go check out that area, right? He's talking about going to the trailer park, just because I know the dispatch is kind of spotty.
Okay, 2237.
36
9 and 16 are Grand River and Dorian Drive.
Clear 36 or 78, one of you break to go back 622.
36
Clear 2239.
22 LBL.
Clear, you're out 2239.
4919 secure.
Well, secure 2242. Real stuff.
Clear 1 to team 6136, you clear that?
Sure, Jack.
2242.
I want to go check the address 47 Mandy. 47 Mandy no longer exists. I am going to go down to the auction barn and see if he's over there.
I'm clear 2259.
Okay, guys, and I was piecing in the audio, so then I did a part 2, right? And this is another, that was previously, we listened to that part. So Devlin hadn't been seen since around 7 a.m. They started looking for him around 8 o'clock. He did have a court-imposed curfew. That was for 10 o'clock, just so everybody knows that. But he was emancipated also. And yes, Kylie, he is from Lake Odessa, Michigan. And I'm going to give you guys a couple more locations that he could have also been. One is going to be Nashville. The other one is going to be Hastings. And the other one is Vermontville. So I'll show you guys those on the map as well. Because he had ties to all of those places. And, even though they're far from each other, he would walk to those places.
From 3416. Go ahead, sir. Come on over to 6 Keisha Court in the back of the trailer park with me. I might have them located here. Hey, sir.
Yeah, clear 2342.
Central 46-3.
46-3.
Back in.
2350. 16.
Can you try calling Devlin's phone number, please?
3416 from Central.
Good.
It's going straight to voicemail.
Okay, thanks.
353.
Okay, guys. And that's so funny, Chuchi. I just realized that was your birthday song too. Oh my goodness, that's weird. Okay, so I'm gonna get goosebumps now. All right, so that was the dispatch audio, guys, and also just to put it out there as well because it is something Tamara told us too is that she called the dispatch as well to report Devlin. So they were worried about him. They also called Jessica Peckham, who is Devlin's biological mother, and she lives in Arizona, right? Because he was talking about moving in with her. But things were kind of not going as well as, one would hope there. So this is going to be, let's see here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to show you next. Okay, so this one is going to be Devlin singing, and he's going to be at Bob's Barn, right? And he liked to go there also. Some of the places that Devlin liked to go were right there in Lake Odessa. And so when he was going to be hanging out in Lake Odessa, he'd like to go to Buddy's Pizzeria. They would give him leftovers from the buffet. They would also give him lunch daily. So he usually would go up there every day. But he didn't go there on Monday, right? So I think that's another reason why the police are thinking that he left town because he didn't go to his normal places, right? He liked to go to Buddy's on the beach. He also liked to go to Carl's, and like I said, also he hung out at McDonald's. He tried to get a job over at that McDonald's, but it was I think the manager said it would be too fast paced or something like that, which is unfortunate, right? So Devlin was also looking for jobs because he had some restitution he had to pay for court. He also had court the very next day, that Tuesday. So there's a lot of things at play there that can really shift the story or can really shift the timeline of events. Because Devlin was putting himself out there on different job boards and things, and I'm not sure that he knew everyone he was talking to. I will say that it seems that Ionia County Sheriff's Office has done their due diligence when it comes to his electronics, but we're going to get a little bit more into that too because they kind of updated us somewhat on that. All right, again, guys, so this is March 30th, 2025. Devlin liked to hang at Bob's, right? And it's just this little jamboree of older guys, and they go in there and they play music and let him sing and that sort of thing. All right, and then right before Devlin went missing, so on April 13th, 2025, he's going to be in here singing at Bob's, and of course, that's just about a week before he went missing. Also, I want to point out that he's going to talk about his cell phone and how it wasn't holding charge, so this is an important piece as well.
Yep. This one old still leaves a golden road to a whole lot of nothing. The deed to the land, but it ain't my gun. This is God's country.
All right, guys. So he's on his cell phone and he's, got the earphones on and then he's got one off, right? So I was wondering if he had his earphones that day. I was also wondering if he's wearing the watch because in this video and in the previous video, Devlin had a watch on as well. So I meant to ask Tamara that and it just reminded me seeing this video again. But you'll see the watch, and you can see his hoodie pocket is full of, gloves and a hat, it looks like, in my opinion.
During the rain and think it's when it's falling. Kids brings the grain and a whole lot of money. Put it back in the plate. That's why I call it God's country. Saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back on the 40 on a muddy riverside, baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a band found Dixie whistled in the wind that will get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country.
Tell you what, Devlin just puts his whole heart into it. He's just so adorable. I just I just love Devlin. I wish we could find him. I wish we knew where he was, or if he is out there, I hope that he's, doing well. He just seems like a sweet kid. I don't know, guys. It's really heartbreaking seeing him like this, but I think it's one of the better videos where we can get an idea of who he is and what he loved to do, which was he loves to sing, he liked to walk around, visit his friends. Just a sweet kid.
Do it all again. To be from God's country. Saw the light in the sunrise, sitting back on the 40 on the muddy riverside, baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a band found Dixie whistled in the wind that will get you heaven bound. Devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. And this is where the part that when I was recording the one song that the dude was singing, it went black. That's what's been going on with my phone lately. So if it messes up, I'm sorry. There's times that I have to even restart my phone lately. It's been doing it ever since I dropped it on 5th Ave and broke the screen.
Okay, guys. So he said he dropped his phone on 5th Ave and he broke the screen. So ever since then he's had to be restarting his phone, and the screen would go black on him. Now, I do know that he bought another charger for the phone also. He bought it at the Sunoco, I believe. And I'm not sure if it was, well, that's another thing. I'm not sure if it was a power bank or if it was a charge cord. So just to kind of let you guys know that.
No, it hasn't done this lately until yesterday. I don't have the money right now to fix it. Yeah.
He said that sounds like a blues song. All right. And Devlin's like, yeah, well, and it's the sad part is Devlin was having a hard time at that point. There was a lot going on with him and he was under some pressure. He's just a sweetheart. I'm telling you, Holly, he just seems like such a sweetheart and um he liked to go and hang out. He liked to be around people. He just, was easygoing, it seemed like for the most part. Some people would have got really, really upset about that. And especially as passionate as he is about music, for it to, the screen to go black on him when he's trying to sing, he handled it very well, in my opinion. There wasn't a meltdown or anything.
So it looks like I might not even be able to do it because I'm not even able to go to the home screen or nothing.
Gave it a try.
Yep. If I get it fixed by the end of the week, maybe it will work. But right now, I don't know. I actually didn't get this from the AT&T store. I got this right down here at Family Dollar. So that's probably part of the reason too.
I've been told.
Okay, so he's like, okay, it's a cheap phone from Family Dollar. And again, you know, he said he didn't have the money to fix it the week before he went missing. So I just don't think that he got a new one in time.
I tried though.
I would.
All right, he's a sweetheart. This is part of the SAR maps too, guys. So if anybody wanted to kind of try to decipher these lines, it's kind of tough when you're just looking at the map like this and you don't have access to really click on to the different lines and see, you know, what all was done. But of course, like this would be an area. They've pinpointed a couple of, you know, red dots here, here, here. One right here. So, you know, just quite a few. Canine Quinn hit over here, up here. So, and this is these searches are, you know, April 22nd, 23rd, 26th. They're showing activity and people searching. So, a lot of people on the 22nd. A lot of people came out to search. Okay, guys, so let's find Devlin. Again, I just can't believe he's still missing. I really thought we were getting real close, especially because there were a lot of search teams out and that sort of thing. So, unfortunately, we are going to fast forward now to the 10-month mark when the news picks up the story again and comes out with this. So, here we go.
It's a missing person mystery.
Oh, sorry. I just did the wrong one. Bear with me 1 second. Let's see. We need to do update first. Okay. I just flipped the windows around and I shouldn't have. Okay, here we go.
There's a plea for help tonight from the family of a young man missing now for nearly 10 months. Devlin Tait was 18 years old when he vanished last April from the village of Lake Odessa in Ionia County. His family is still searching for answers to where Tait is, hoping for any new tips or leads. Target investigators Susan Samples has been digging into the puzzling mystery for a special report set to air Sunday after the Super Bowl and Olympics.
Somebody knows something, somebody saw something. I wish they would come forward, whether it be to us or to law enforcement, and tell them what they saw, what they heard, what they know.
It's not just Devlin Tait's family that's hoping to reignite efforts to find him. The Ionia County Sheriff's Department, for the first time, is talking about this investigation, the evidence, what it suggests, what they're still trying to figure out. And Target 8 has obtained 911 calls from this investigation, the police reports and video of Devlin Tait. Watch Missing Devlin Tait. It airs after the Super Bowl and the Olympics. I'm Target 8 investigator Susan Samples.
Okay, guys, and you know, unfortunately, we didn't get to see much, or we didn't get as much clarity as I was really hoping for. Again, I try to be cup half full type of a person, but it's rough in these cases, and I wish they would have kept that footage. Hey Tam, good to see you, and thank you for the birthday wishes for Chuchi. That's so sweet. It seems like the weather on April 21st was high of 70, low of 38, which is pretty typical for Michigan in April. Yeah, it warms up a bit during the day, right? And then the then it gets colder too. And you know, he was wearing a hoodie apparently, but not a thick one, you know. It was one of those just kind of like a black hoodie, the one that we'll see him wearing in some of this footage too. So, And Chi Chi says, in my opinion, it sounds to me like the port sounds to me like the port or the battery needed to be replaced. Um, yeah, maybe so. See, that's what I don't know because I need to go back and listen. I know Sabrina had said to Piper that he had bought something because the lady had told her, and then Sabrina told her too. I can't remember if it was a battery charger, or if it was one of those boxes that hold a charge, and then you plug it in and charge the box, and then the box can charge your phone. Because I have one of those as well, for when I was out in the, when I was out streaming, because StreamYard will take your battery and suck the life out of it. So, hey, Bo. So, yeah, so unfortunately, it was kind of a bummer. I'll just say that in Devlin's case.
Nobody's heard from him all day, and we have no idea where he's at.
It's hard. The rumors, assumptions, accusations, theories.
You know, an 18-year-old doesn't just usually walk off and disappear.
Why are you sitting down for an interview about Devlin Tait's disappearance now?
A Target 8 special investigation, Sunday night after the Super Bowl and the Winter Games.
Okay, guys, and then this is going to be after the Winter Games. Oh, I still have a little bit. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, this is supposedly the sweater he was wearing that day, or the zip-up hoodie. Okay, and then this is the beautiful flyer that Jesse Farber's wife made for Devlin. And please share the flyer around also. Okay, so, and you can just take a screenshot of it, or it's also on the community page as well. And I'll put a new one up just so you guys won't have to dig for it. But please share Devlin's flyer around, especially if you have friends up in Michigan, because that's where he's from. And we're going to learn here that there's more areas that Devlin could be up in Michigan, right? Just not only in Lake Odessa. So we're not really 100% sure where he went missing from, because maybe it wasn't Lake Odessa. It's looking like maybe he went somewhere else. And the thing is that I don't know how his phone ended up back in Laco. So.
It's a missing person mystery that's gripped a West Michigan community and left a hole in its heart. What happened to 18-year-old Devlin Tait? In April, it will be 1 year since Tait, who has disabilities that make him vulnerable, walked through a grocery store parking lot in Ionia County's Lake Odessa and vanished. Tonight, for the first time, the Sheriff's Department is lifting the veil on its investigation and sat down with Target 8 investigator Susan Samples to do it.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Bob's Barn. You're going to be watching Easy Idle String Band. You're going to love these guys.
It's not just the bluegrass that beckons. There's a come-as-you-are camaraderie at Bob's Barn.
See, this place is nobody complains about anybody.
Everyone's welcome at Bob's Barn Jamboree, where the Sunday concerts are free and the post-show mic open.
Devlin came in one day and he liked the music.
Singing hallelujah.
He did 2 numbers here.
2 songs on 2 Sundays. No one doubted the young relative newcomer would be back.
And this is where the part that when I was recording the one song that the dude was singing, it went black.
Okay, and also I want to point out that Bob's Barn, right? They're talking to Susan, and they told Susan he did 2 numbers here on 2 Sundays, right? But it seems that Lori, the neighbor, was talking about how she saw Devlin up at Bob's on Easter Sunday and that he sang that day. Or maybe he was just there and he didn't sing. But according to this, he sang at Bob's twice, and it was one in the red hoodie and then the other one in the black hoodie.
That's what's been going on with my phone lately, so...
And he had his phone with him all the time.
If you spent any time in the town local.
And guys, I would invite you to listen to these older guys, right? He's like, he had his phone with him all the time, right? And that's something really important to remember, because I think Tamara was also saying, look, he would even plug his phone in and be talking on it. So he was constantly always on it, you know? Yeah, I don't know if it was from I don't know if it's the charge thing or from dropping it, because he says it goes black and then for no reason. And then he's got to restart it. So I don't know why it would need to be restarted. Like, what's wrong there? Something, a couple maybe things wrong with it. And sometimes people are rough on their phones, because I've seen people's phones and they're all cracked and shattered, and you know,
Locals call Laco. You couldn't miss one thread in his fabric. 18-year-old Devlin Tait.
He was constantly walking around, Lake Odessa, visiting his favorite spots, hanging out at McDonald's, going to the laundry.
So it looks like I might not even be able to do it, because I'm not even able to go to the home screen or nothing.
Gave it a try.
Yep.
Then that day he came up missing.
Ionia County Central Dispatch.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Cook, and my nephew Devlin Tait has been gone since 7:30 this morning. Nobody's seen him since 8:15.
Devlin Tait was last seen.
Okay, so just a little bit different than what the dispatch relayed over, because right there, Sabrina did say 7:30, right? Because I know that there was like people saying, okay, was it 7 or 7:30? Because she was telling us 7:30. Tamara's saying 7:30, and then we know the dispatch was saying 7. So we're like, what's going on? Those are the things that we always, look for, is like the inconsistencies. But here it was a dispatch audio mistake, and not or it was, excuse me, it was a dispatch mistake on the audio, not Sabrina didn't tell them 7 and it was 7:30, if that makes sense.
At 8:15 a.m. the day he disappeared at Carl's Market here in Lake Odessa. Surveillance cameras showed him walking east through the store's parking lot. That video no longer exists because no one thought to save it at the time, thinking Tait may have left voluntarily, either to avoid a court hearing scheduled for the next day, or he had mentioned trying to get to Arizona to live with his birth mom.
Okay. We got our little girl here. What? Okay, so yeah, here's the thing. It's really, really, really a bad idea, right, to assume anything, and especially to, operate off of only one assumption. Like, oh, he must have just, ran off because of court. Not saying that that's not a good assumption, right? Because you would assume, right, or presume that he would try to skip out for court because he didn't want to go. He was afraid to go. He was in a little bit of trouble, right? And it was because he was breaking in places, and there's been a lot of back and forth, right? So I want to just keep it to, the facts that we know to be true. But there was a lot of turmoil in Devlin's life when it came to even his mom in Arizona, right? He was going back and forth. I don't know, I want to live with her, I want to live here. I think Devlin would have done well, especially once he's emancipated, to live in his own efficiency apartment with some assistance, right? I think he would have done really well with that if he would have been able to get into a nice routine of things. And all that is unseen. I was so upset. This is what happens when I get really mad. I'm like, I better make myself laugh over here because I'm getting hot, but yeah, I'm just like, what is going on here? Because, and I did hear through the grapevine. Now, I don't know if it's true, but it's a very reliable source. That there was some footage of Devlin checking out there too. So they like scrapped some footage now and they didn't keep it. As far as I know. So I will say that that was a mistake in my opinion. Because it's good to see him on camera. Um, for the timeline purposes, because some people say, well, if I can't see it on camera, then how do I even know it's true? Right? There's a lot of times where we have a lot of distrust in law enforcement, especially after some of the things that we've seen in Sebastian's case and other cases. Um, so it's difficult. But yeah, so Susan does um, make that clear here that they were really thinking that he ran away on his own. So again, it did take Tamra a while for them to get the phone records for Devlin. I know that because even up until even July of 2025, when they went on Mr. and Mrs. E's crime cast, they had still not really gotten those records, those phone records. And so that does hinder the case, and it really reminds me of Jonathan Hong and the way that because of his age, even though he had autism and needed special concessions and extra help, he was still an adult, and his family wanted it to be that way until he went missing. When they realized, now we don't have the right to get these phone records and things like that, because of privacy. So it really puts a damper on things. Yes, all that is unseen. The newer flyers are most accurate, in my opinion, because at the beginning, information was kind of all over the place. In Devlin's case, it really was. It was like people were coming out of the woodwork saying they saw him. There was no proof of that. You know, Heshi is one of the main detectives. They have two. The other one's Castle. They were like, we can't go by hearsay, right? We need to be able to verify this. And so that was very difficult, especially with the sightings. And people will go on social media and, they'll try to insert themselves in the case. And we saw that a lot of that with Devlin, a whole lot of it. And I'm just waiting so patiently, not really, to, see how this vigil went tonight. Yeah, it is a catch-22. It is all that is unseen. It is. Yeah. Yeah, check on him, get him into a routine, let him know, like, this is how much you're paying your rent. He had a food card. I think it would be nicer, and then he could take a walk down and see Tamra. He could take a walk and see Sabrina and, all of his friends in the neighborhood. Um, so yeah, but it's very puzzling to say the least. But so no footage of Devlin that day.
But in the 10 months since, investigators say there's been no sign of Devlin Tait anywhere. Not here, not in Arizona.
Do you feel like he's still alive?
In my heart, no. It's been almost 40 weeks without a word from him, and he would have called Mama.
No activity.
All right. So Tamra says in her heart she doesn't think so, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to hear her say that, because I just want her to keep the hope, you know. I know. I hope so too, Holly. And the thing is that I know a lot of psychics out there will tell people things, and I think that could be some of it, but I just don't want to throw in the towel and say, that he's not. I know it's a big, big red flag, and I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna about it, right? Because it's a huge red flag that Devlin has not reached out to Sandra, right, Mama, has not reached out to Jessica Biomom, has not reached out to any of his friends that we know of, unless they're hiding that, which I don't think they would do that. They might though, because of the situation. They might be like, well, too bad. You should have, been, you should have treated him better or something. Maybe that could be, but it's very slim on my list. I don't know that he would hitchhike a ride, but then again, there's a first time for everything, all that is unseen. They're thinking he was walking on foot, and I don't know if that's because of a digital footprint or not. They have not specified that, but I don't see them coming out and giving up false information because of the fact that they're being so transparent about not collecting the footage from Carl's, right? They're being very forthcoming about that. And so, that builds up some trust for me to think that they're kind of sending us on the right track instead of the wrong one, like telling us, the lights in the in the common area is a trash truck at 3 a.m., right? Something like that. So, um, but it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And I think someone knows something. I really do. I think if somebody was preying on Devlin's vulnerabilities, even a stranger or someone online, um, that's one of the things that is at the top of the list right now, just because we have to explore that and, really look into it so we can rule some of it out. But it's difficult not knowing who he may have been talking to, because he was very open. And again, I would say that even if people say, oh, I don't think he would take a ride, he might though. Maybe he was tired that day and he didn't want to walk, or maybe he decided he needed to get somewhere quick, and so somebody said, hey, I'll give you a ride, and so he did. Or maybe they said they were going to give him a ride to a job, and he did take a ride from someone offline. They said, hey, I'll come pick you up, or can I meet you? Oh, meet me over at Lako Laundry, and those cameras weren't working that day, so he could have gotten a ride. Now, Devlin had a girlfriend, and her name is Marie. He had several girlfriends, to the best of my knowledge, but one of them was Marie. She claimed that there was a Life 360 ping over off of French Fry Lane, which would be right back by that McDonald's. So, and Sewer Plant Road area, right? And so that, in my opinion, is hard to go off of because of what we know about Life 360, and also because we've never seen that ping. The 11:30 p.m. ping at the trailer park is per law enforcement. That's who verified that, just so you guys know also. It wasn't Life 360, it was a cell tower ping.
No activity on his cell phone, no social media. No one's used his food assistance card either, which still has $200 on it.
Sabrina, do you think that he's still with us?
My heart wants to say so. Moving on and losing hope is like giving up on my family. And that was something that I was taught you don't do. You don't give up on family.
The sheriff's department isn't giving up either. The earliest lead, a successful phone ping the night Tait went missing, before the cell phone, which deputies never found, stopped responding.
Both phone pings that came back were local. They were near trailer parks. Now, keep in mind, a phone ping is not a precise location.
The ping showed Tait's cell phone bouncing off a tower near the Lakewood Estates mobile home park. For context, that's less than a mile from Carl's Market, the last seen location. Tait lived here with his grandma, aunt, and his aunt's boyfriend, less than a mile from Lakewood Estates, via the shortcut Tait was known to take to visit the woman on the other end of this 911 call.
I'm just concerned because he is a former student in a classroom I worked at, and he comes up periodically and talks to me, but they said that his phone was pinging and they thought he was inside my house. Well, that's a little hard to go to sleep after that. And they never found him, and I'm wondering what's going on.
We've interviewed everybody.
All right. So that's Joni Sowers, guys. That's Joni. She called in to 911 asking about Devlin the next day. Like distancing the language, yet wants to know what's going on. But she was also not cooperative with police, in my opinion. You know? Yes, I know exactly, Jen. I took the screenshot of those are your lines over by Joni. Yeah, because I just thought that that was important, you know, to show that and keep that. um, because obviously that's the last area his phone was in. And then finding out, what 5 months later, because I got into the case at the 5 month mark, that she's calling into 911. It's very eerie. It's strange. And to know that that's where his phone last ping, and to know that that's where Sabrina told the police to go at 10:30. I love you too, Jen. I know. But yeah, I mean, it's it's wild because all of that fits together. Yet, where's Devlin? And I'll just rewind that really quick again. This is the parapro Joni. She makes a call to 911 April 22nd, 2025, 6:10 p.m. Give me 1 second.
Other end of this 911 call.
I'm just concerned because he is a former student in a classroom I worked at, and he comes up periodically and talks to me, but they said that his phone was pinging and they thought he was inside my house. Well, that's a little hard to go to sleep after that. And they never found him, and I'm wondering what's going on.
We've interviewed everybody that knew or was familiar with Devlin in the area that the phone picked.
None are suspects, and neither is Tait's family, which was investigated early on, says Undersheriff Andrew Buchholz. No confirmed sightings of Tait either, despite the community's efforts.
What's the likelihood that somebody's going to stumble across his body this spring in Ionia County?
Unfortunately, and the likelihood is there, whether that's accidental, whether it's foul play.
Investigators put the odds of accidental versus foul play at 50-50, saying they simply have no evidence leaning either way, despite endless and sometimes incendiary speculation online and on the streets.
Okay, so this is where I get confused, and I even said it earlier because they're saying they're at 50-50 foul play versus, accidental. But they're saying that really they don't have any evidence either way. So that's why I'm like, well, they can't really be thinking foul play or, so it's kind of odd the way they're saying it, but they're also kind of pushing us into thinking they just don't know because there's nothing, right? Which is concerning. Um, I know, Bo, they have looked into her a little bit, to my knowledge, right? But I mean, just them putting this out, um, at the 10-month mark and letting us know about it. It's a huge nugget in my opinion. Like they're throwing us a friggin' bone here. Um, all that is unseen says my spidey senses were tingling when I heard her interview. In my opinion, allegedly something is not right, sus. Right, yeah. Well, that's why we went back to, I think we've listened to that interview like several times because you do pick up on different little nuances and things, or knowing what we know now and we're analyzing it again. That's part of it too. But yeah, I mean, I think my spidey senses went off right when I found out about the 11:30 ping at the trailer park because I had already known that the dispatch audio call was coming in at a 10:32 p.m., right? And so for the police to go looking at the trailer park and then the phone pinged after they were gone or shortly after they left, or they figured out that the phone pinged, because again, I don't know when they got the ping, when they got that information. But they were right there where his phone pinged at the last. And Sabrina said that he, visits the parapro. And then if that's not odd enough, the parapro calls in the next day and says, you find that kid? He comes over here and talks to me. I'm just wondering what's going on. And then to say that they pinged they pinged him from the cell tower in her house is not accurate. And I just don't see even a rookie on his first night telling anybody that. Oh, we pinged Devlin's phone in your house, or we pinged him to your house, in your house. When the phone pings off of a tower, it's not a specific location. It's pinging off of one of the cell tower, uh, panels. So it's not like it's specific. Now, if we're geofencing, that's a whole nother ball game, because all of the data is coming straight to the Stingray technology. It's not going to the cell tower. It's going straight to that technology. So then you can pinpoint people and where they're at, but they weren't using that. They just pinged it, Oh, hey, my PTSD. Thank you for becoming a new member. Welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Oh, I think you're probably renewing, but thank you very much. Aw. So Chuchi says, in my opinion, that Parapro sounds hyper fixated on why is the phone pinged around her house. Yeah, well, she's saying that it was in her house, right? And then she's like, I can't sleep knowing that. Well, I mean, for one, you live in a trailer, you would know if Devlin's there. He's a big guy, right? So then also she seems paranoid about the situation, no doubt. Because it does appear that they went there and spoke with her. Detroit, hey Detroit says, what about the dark color at and the three men that he allegedly was seen forced into? I just don't know if that is, I don't know if that's true. See, and it was more that they said he was reluctant to get in, right? Or hesitant to get in the car with the two guys. Apparently it was two men in a car, but see the colors of the car has changed also. So the accounts of what color the car was, or what kind of car it was, or if it was a truck, it hasn't stayed consistent. So I know it's a pain. So good night, witchy mama. Thank you for being here. So yeah, it's all very peculiar. And like I said, to add more weirdness, Joni Sowers, is going to she's gonna call in the next day, and be like, hey, what's up? Very strange, very paranoid behavior, and I agree, Chuchi. She's worried about that phone ping near her home, but she's even saying that she thinks it was in her home.
I have been in this town for 28 years, and people were literally looking at me as if I was disgusting to them, as if I did something wrong.
Tait's family hopes he's holed up with someone who's helping him, and even though they are not considered suspects,
They have volunteered to take polygraphs. We're getting them set up with polygraphs.
I don't have nothing to hide.
Why are you sitting down for an interview about Devlin Tait's disappearance now?
Couple of reasons. One is to make sure that people still are aware that Devlin is missing, that we're not giving up hope. The other thing is to get rid of any misconceptions.
the Sheriff's Department says if you think you know something, go to them, not social media. That is how you can help Devlin Tait take the stage again.
He liked music, and if he is alive, I believe that they'll find him by looking where there's music.
Where do you guys think he is?
I have no clue. I hope he's safe wherever he's at. I hope he's still alive.
President Trump's border policies are saving this country each and every day, but Congress needs to do more.
Sorry, my mic was muted. Okay, let me take that down and give me 1 second here to pull this up. And so, the guy from over at Bob's Barn was saying, if you want to find Devlin, I think you should look for where there's music, because he was very big into music. He enjoyed it very much, really loved it. Here's one video I wanted to show you guys from when Devlin was younger, and he's playing the guitar. So we're just kind of talk a little bit about who Devlin is and that sort of thing before we get into the vigil stuff for tonight. So just bear with me here. All right, so this is Devlin when he's younger. And here we go.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still, the roses and the voice I hear falling on my ear. The Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. All right. He's just so cute, guys. So, and then I was looking for this video because I've showed it before, and I realized that Devlin has a YouTube channel that he had uploaded some things to. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that and pay tribute to Devlin because he is just, a really sweet, thoughtful kid, and I just kind of wanted to show you this, and I believe he's singing the same song. But he's older here, so I'm not sure. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. Aw, he's just so sweet, guys. And Devlin, again, like they were saying, at Bob's, he just enjoys music. He has playlists that he's made. He has 37 songs in here. Another playlist, beautiful songs. So he absolutely loved music and always liked to sing. Yeah, I will. All That Is Unseen. It's going to be in this next one too, because I think they show both. And if not, I can pull that other one up. Because that was a really good map where it shows, kind of the route that he was taking too. So that's Devlin, guys. And, he's got, his playlists. Pentatonics was on there a bunch of times.
And Christina Perry, Jelly Roll, just a whole bunch of different ones. Brooks and Dunn, Sammy Kershaw. So he also had a really good song by Rodney Atkins. If You're Going Through Hell, right? That's a really good song. Old Red by Blake Shelton. So just a wide variety, but he really did love country music. Rascal Flatts, Alan Jackson, the Judds. Devlin had an old soul when it came to music. He really enjoyed a whole bunch of different music, but older music as well. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I never knew that Devlin had a page and on YouTube, but it turns out he does. So, and then I want to show you guys this from today. And well, it's yesterday and today where they're promoting the vigil. And let me make sure I got that. Okay.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since a teenager vanished from Lake Odessa. Devlin Tait was 18 when he was last seen on surveillance video walking near Carl's Market on 4th Avenue in Lake Odessa the morning of April 21st, 2025. Tait's family is inviting the community to a candle lighting memorial in Devlin's honor on the anniversary of his vanishing. It will take place Tuesday night at 7 at Swifties Park on Jordan Lake Street in Lake Odessa. They'll light 12 candles, one for each month Devlin's been missing, and they're asking people to wear his favorite color, blue. Despite search efforts by law enforcement and volunteers, there's been no sign of Tait, who has special needs and was known to walk long distances. He had ties to Lake Odessa, Vermontville, Nashville, and Hastings.
Okay, guys, so here are the possible paths of travel from Ionia County Sheriff's Office, right? So Lake Odessa is where Devlin was living at the time. He also has ties to Hastings, which is where Sandra Tait lives, right? Matt Tait, Lorraine live there. Also Nashville, there's ties to Nashville, and then Vermontville, right? So he would kind of go in, this pattern. If he was walking, he would take that route. So very interesting that they believe that he may have, because if he went this way, I don't know if this is a direct path that they think he went from here to here, right? Or if it's just possible paths. Yeah, I would go with that. But again, Lake Odessa has been searched. So I think spreading out, even into the woods would be a good idea at this point, so, yeah, absolutely. My PTSD. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. And my PTSD says, prayers and love sent up and out that he gets home soon. Love his music mix. I know, right? Just really good songs and just a really sweet kid. And he really seemed to like to sing, gospel songs and things like that. So just a really sweet kid. But yeah, this is the path of travel per Ionia County Sheriff's Office.
And the Ionia County Sheriff's Office thinks Tait may have suffered an accident while walking one of those routes. If you live in or travel through those communities, investigators ask you to keep an eye out.
1 year ago today, 18-year-old Devlin Tait vanished from Lake Odessa. That community is still looking for answers.
They'll hold an event tonight for the anniversary.
That vigil is scheduled for 7 o'clock tonight here at Swifties Park in Lake Odessa, right around the corner from where Devlin Tait was last seen. Family tells Newsnet that they plan to light 12 candles at tonight's ceremony, one for each month that he's been missing. We recently spoke with the Ionia County Sheriff's Office about where that investigation stands today. They said there have been no signs of life and no signs of contact in the months since Devlin disappeared 1 year ago on April 21st. There have been no cell phone activity on his phone, as well as no draws on his food assistance card, which to this day on it. Our search took them as far even as Arizona. Cell phone data indicated that he showed interest in visiting his birth mother there. No signs of contact or life as part of that search either.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Even though they knew Devlin was searching and they found evidence of him searching on his phone about living in Arizona with his biological mom, it turns out that they haven't been able to find any evidence that he actually did try to get there or that he ended up going there. So, again, that was another confirmation that they have never publicly stated, right? I mean, maybe it was implied since no one was arrested or, no one's been named as a suspect or anything like that. So, but it does give us a little bit more clarity there as well.
Investigators now think that he may have suffered an accident during one of his frequent walking routes around here in Lake Odessa or between neighboring communities that he enjoyed visiting. So,
okay, so it does appear that they think that maybe Devlin could have possibly gotten hit by a car, something like that, right? But it does, they were saying the other 50% of them thinks that there may have been some foul play in some capacity. So, I find that to be interesting as well.
Much. They do ask the public as they walk around, keep an eye out for any signs of Tait, but say the area has been exhaustively combed to no avail so far. If you want to participate in tonight's vigil, it begins again here at 7 o'clock at this park, and the family asks that you wear blue if you attend. It was Devlin's favorite color.
University of Phoenix has no tuition games, just fixed and affordable tuition.
These stupid ads.
Hearts of stone turn into hearts of gold. All of that bleeding turns into healing. Hearts that break turn into hearts of praise. All of that searching leads to the place I call home, back to the voice that calls me home, back to the car, the one where I walk alone. Back to the mercy you've always shown, back to your son who sits on the throne, back to your love that cuts to the core of my bones. I won't stop returning to home.
All right, guys, I think I just had a glitch because it just totally kicked me off. So I think it messed that up. So I'll have to play it at the end. I was messing around with Wood TV, so I wonder if that's part of it. Because I wanted to check to see if they put anything out recently about Devlin and they didn't. So I'm sorry. I'll have to play that at the end there. But I did want to show you guys this one. Give me a second, and this is the one I was trying to pull up when it kicked me off. I apologize. Okay, so this okay, hold on one second, guys. Let me see if I can't share this. It totally kicked me off. That was so weird. All right, hold on one second. And let me pull this up. No thanks. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, great. So let me go ahead and play this for you guys.
Rescue expert recognized worldwide for his insight is weighing in tonight in the case of a West Michigan teen missing now for nearly a year.
Devlin Tait was 18 when he vanished from the Ionia County village of Lake Odessa last April.
Target 8 investigator Susan Samples takes us inside the investigation. She did that earlier in the week, and now she's back on the case tonight.
Detectives are still asking for your help, especially if you live in Ionia, Berry, or Eaton counties. Devlin Tait had friends or family in all three and was known to walk between them. As we near the anniversary of his disappearance last April, we turn to a search and rescue expert for his insight, but we hear first from community members who've been trying to help.
A possible matching subject on Johnson Road.
For that missing person, I had a passerby believes he was sighted just walking north on Jordan Lake past Tupper Lake. How do you know that it's him?
I'm sitting right here. He walked right in front of me, and I've been seeing posts about him for like a week now.
It's not for lack of effort that this puzzle persists.
He was wearing a black shirt, black pants. From behind, it kind of looked like him.
Despite dozens of tips in 10 months, not a single confirmed sighting since Devlin Tait failed to return to his grandma's house the night of April 21st, last seen on a surveillance camera that morning, walking east through a grocery store parking lot in Lake Odessa.
Singing hallelujah.
That's Tait enjoying a Sunday at Bob's Barn Jamboree in Lake Odessa. 3 weeks later, he would vanish.
He actually fits pretty clearly in the autism spectrum disorder.
Target 8 took Tait's case to Virginia-based search and rescue expert Robert Kester, known worldwide for his research on lost person behavior and models he built to predict their most likely locations. Okay, guys, and we did do a live on this search and rescue expert, and we talked about it. Based on a lot of the data that he's pulled in, he's able to look at these patterns and kind of figure out what the most likely outcome is. And this is a standard that is used by Backwoods Search and Rescue, our friends that have been looking for Devlin. So really good information here. And thank you, Andrea, for being a member for 3 months. And she says, praying Devlin is found. Yeah, Andrea, there's not a lot. I saw your comment. I mean, it's just we have more questions than answers, right? But we're getting a little bit more solid information. I'd like to put together
and I said it for a while, but I really like to put together kind of maybe a better timeline of events based on what we know now. So, um, yeah, it's difficult though. It is very difficult. And Bo, welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Thank you very much. That's so sweet. Um, but yeah, it's frustrating to say the least. It really is. So, oh, okay. Welcome to the war room. Okay, because I thought, okay, awesome. Oh, Bo, that's amazing. Well, great. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Andrea, again. Um, so, just very interesting looking at what Mr. Kester is saying and how he applies his statistics that he's gathered. And he also says that Devlin's definitely, in his opinion, on the autism spectrum.
Based on the missing subject, the type of terrain, and a database of 500,000 prior search outcomes, cases he'd been collecting since 1992.
A 3-year-old child is going to behave different than a 12-year-old child, who's going to behave different than a lost hiker, who's going to behave differently than somebody who has dementia, who's going to behave very differently than somebody who's on an ATV.
Kester said he would need more case facts to do a full prediction, but in general, statistically, based on Tait's diagnosis of autism and the terrain, there's a 75% chance Tait is less than 2 miles from his last known location. And those searchers have covered a lot of ground.
But
okay, so in my opinion, I do think it's time to venture out from this. And the only reason I'm saying that is because of what Ionia County Sheriff's Office has released about that, little I don't know if it would be a little quadrant. I don't know what it's called. The shape of it, but it just looks like those are the 4 areas that they think that he may have walked to that day, since he wasn't caught on camera in Laco, and also because they've searched the area, profusely, but again, things can be missed. Good morning, Faye. Good to see you. Yeah, his parapro was living at the trailer park where his phone last pinged my PTSD. Yeah. So, yeah. It's that part is so interesting, and that's like the big wrench in the situation, right? Because it's like with that piece, it doesn't really add up, right? I mean, because if his phone pinged maybe in Vermontville, then it would make more sense that he may have been in Vermontville, so that's a good place to start looking, right? Where they go missing from. But if we're basing it off of the last phone ping, which is why they're looking at Lake Odessa, then that's why they're saying this radius here. But we know that Devlin could have walked to any of those 4 places, Vermontville, Hastings, Nashville. So it's very mysterious, so to speak.
The probability is high that he could be in an area that has already been searched. It's very easy to miss a person on a search. Fully trained searchers can miss a subject.
It's been almost 40 weeks without a word from him.
Tait's grandma and aunt hope he's holed up with someone who's helping him avoid legal troubles. He'd been racking up misdemeanors. He had also mentioned trying to get to Arizona to live with his birth mom. But Ionia County Undersheriff Andrew Buchholz says as time goes on, the likelihood it was foul play or an accident goes up.
There's plenty of bridges. There's lots of water. The possibility that an accident has occurred is definitely out there.
If you're walking around at night and you don't see the water, you can wind up in the water.
I hope he's safe wherever he's at. I hope he's still alive.
One of investigators' theories that Tait had an accident of some sort while walking from Lake Odessa to Vermontville, Nashville, or Hastings. They're asking folks who live in those areas to keep an eye out. If you have any information, even if you're not sure it will help, the Ionia County Sheriff's Office asks that you call them or Silent Observer. I'm Target 8 investigator Susan Samples.
Okay, guys, and that's Susan Samples. She was trying to dig into the case. I'm not sure, how far she's gotten. That was the last time that she did cover Devlin up until now, and they did seem to send somebody else to assist with the vigil. So I'm just glad that somebody, from the local news showed up for the vigil. I think it's very important for us to, have people showing up. And, I'm really proud of Tamara for doing that for Devlin. It's such a sweet thing to do. And, just shows that, they're still looking for him. So if he is out there watching, then he knows that they love him and that they're looking for him and they haven't given up on him. And that's the biggest thing, in my opinion, that the family can do. We've just seen it where people do come home, and if they're not, if the family's not looking for them, there's a lot of animosity and a lot of hurt, because of that. And so, I think it's just important to do that for the missing, right? Just continue to spread awareness. So Tamara did get these posters made for the vigil and things like that. So I'm going to be excited to see the posters and just the candles. She had sent me pictures of the candles and stuff like that, but it appears that it's not yet on their website. So but let's try this again. Hopefully YouTube does not put ads in here. That is so annoying. Okay, but we just had an ad, so hopefully. Okay, but here we go, guys.
Hearts of stone turn into hearts of gold. All of that bleeding turns into healing. Hearts that break turn into hearts of praise. All of that searching leads to eternity. Back to your arms, the place I call home. Back to your voice that calls me your own. Back to your path, the one where I won't walk alone. Back to the mercy you've always shown. Back to your sight, who sits on the throne. Back to your love that cuts to the core of my bones. I won't stop returning to home. Hearts of fear turn into hearts drawn near. All of that wonder turns into trusting. Hearts unsure turn into hearts made pure. All of that fear leads to retreat. Back to your arms, the place I call home. Back to your voice that calls me your own. Back to your path, the one where I won't walk alone. Back to the mercy you've always shown. who sits on the throne. Back to your love that cuts to the core of my bones. I won't stop returning to home. It don't matter where I try to run. You come bring me right back to your love. It don't matter where I try to run. You come bring me right back to your arms, the place I call home, back to your voice that calls me your own, back to your path, the one where I won't walk alone. Back to the mercy you've always shown, back to your son who sits on the throne, back to your love that cuts to the core of my bones. I won't stop returning to home.
Okay, guys, that's for Devlin. That's for Devlin's family. I wish I would have had more pictures I could put in there, for the family, um, and close friends of Devlin's, because I know he had a lot of close friends. I'm sure there are a lot of really great pictures out there. So unfortunately, um, thank you, Bo. And Bo, I will send you a link for that too. I might need to renew the link. Well, I don't think I made it that long ago. Um, but I will repost it too. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, I hope that it went well tonight. I heard it did. I'm sure Tamara's exhausted. I'm just sure just putting everything together, and it was not an easy process for her, just with everything that's going on, and then plus, having to try to coordinate something like that is hard, especially when you're on a budget and things like that. So, um I know that she's got like pins and pens and button pins that she is also selling as well. So I need to get together with her on like a link or something like that if anybody wanted to buy something like that. And the buttons are kind of like the one that I have on the screen here. Where's Devlin Tait, Lake Odessa, Michigan. So they turned out really, really nice. She did a really good job on that. Um, and like I said, I'm just thank you, Chuchi. I'm just glad that she was able to pull this off, right? Because like I said, it was not easy for her, and I'm just proud that she's doing the right thing. Um, I know, I hope so too, Faye. And this is the thing, I understand where you're coming from. I think that this is a super unfortunate situation where we're kind of stuck not knowing where to even begin to look. I mean, I could say that Lake Odessa is probably been combed enough. Um, but again, even the expert is saying, you do miss things, but we don't know where he exactly went missing from. And this is where I start wondering, right? And maybe I'm thinking a little bit too far into it, but I'm thinking to myself, well, what if he didn't go missing from Lake Odessa? What if he went missing from Vermontville, for example? So we should really be searching a radius of, Vermontville, or we should be searching the paths that he would likely have taken from point A to point B. So I need to figure that out and maybe get together with Tamara on that so we can um, understand that a little bit better. I'm not sure if she was familiar with the routes that he took exactly. And, we're not Devlin. We can't say, I know for a fact he went this way, right? But I do know that a close friend of his told me, he goes the same routes. He goes the same routes. Um, so when she told me that, I'm like, okay, I gotcha. And I was very appreciative and still appreciative for that information because I've not forgotten that. I have not forgotten that. I have not forgotten our conversation. Um, Thank you, Coffee Crime and Cats, and thank you guys for being members for 8 months. Oh my gosh, and Bo, you too. And you're welcome, Bo. I'm sorry. Bear with me on these discords, but we're gonna get it. I also need to post. I wanted to post some topics of conversation in there as well. So I put in the 3 videos, right? But I also want to pull some topics of conversation from those videos. Um, and I want to use kind of some of the topics of conversation in some videos, but I do also need to make a video about the custody stuff with Nina and Mr. Foot, because here's the deal. I believe that is a huge part of what happened with Sebastian. It's a huge part of why they didn't want him living in the house. And again, the disadvantage of having the information said on channels that are no longer up anymore, it is just it's more frustrating to me that that channel is not up anymore, because now we don't have those interviews. So hindsight has been really good about documenting that. So I'm going to go back and see if I can't listen or see if there's something out there. But if you guys happen to stumble upon something on TikTok, I'm going to go look through TikTok as well. But I know in the beginning, and I know that Seth was saying it too, so I can also verify that with Seth saying it. But there was the talk about Sebastian not being allowed around Faith, which is a bunch of bull crap. I know that. But I'm just saying, from their perspective, I think it was a big deal for them. And I think that they didn't want Sebastian around at all, period. Around Faith, around at all, because they wanted to send him to a school, right? Um, Nina doesn't say it. Nina says that Sebastian and Faith loved each other, and she's always said that, Bo. So she never. I remember the Proud Feet saying it though, and I don't know if it was maybe. I mean, I thought it was on Clues because that's where they got really, really nasty, was over on that one, you know. So I think it was, but it could have been Queen Bee or Granny. I mean, because they've been on Granny too, haven't they? Um, and then of course I know that Chris Proudfoot was on Elevated Truth the one time. Um, so yeah. Oh yeah, all that is unseen says bingo. I had an initial hunch that Faith coming to Proudfoot home made me believe Seth Rogers um or Sebastian Rogers, sorry, was alive and never made it home from the Texas Roadhouse, in my opinion, allegedly. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we're really stuck at that fork in the road. And I'm just not willing to say definitively either way, because there's a lot of supporting evidence that he didn't make it home, but there's some supporting evidence that he did. The thing about it is the trash video, and I did a live stream with Jen earlier. I shared it. So go check it out. And we're talking about it. Well, we were talking about Tony as well. Um, because we wanted to get together and do something, but it's got to be a cash app, so please don't send me any super chats for it. But we also wanted to do like a meal train, maybe closer to when Dana has her birthday in May, um, because after a tragic event, people are there in droves, but then slowly they start to kind of trickle away and give you your space. And that's the time when I think that it'll be the nicest for her to have a, comfort food that she can order in and just, watch maybe movies that she thought, her and Tony like to watch. He talked about the John Benet Ramsey case, and it seemed like they were interested in cases, and maybe she might watch that and think of Tony, or whatever she wants to do, or just get together with the kids and watch a funny movie and order whatever they want. So I think that would be an awesome idea. I talked to Jen before the live tonight, and she said that they raised $75 on her channel for, you know, the like a wind chime. We were talking about the trees because Detroit had that beautiful idea about the tree. So, just something to remind them of Tony and something comforting. It would be from all of us. We would just say, from Lady Freedom and Jen's groups, right? Or however we do it. But either way, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think too. And I'll relay it to Jen. But I think those two things are the nicest. And I think that's what I would enjoy if I was in that situation, which is so very sad. I mean, um, you know, Dana lost her father a couple months ago, and now Tony, and it's just life is so short. Life is so dang short. So, but again, Jen and I were talking about the trash video. Um, and that is really what would make or break my opinion. And that would probably, maybe, depending, would put me on one path or another. But I just remain at this fork in the road. Like, did he make it home? Did he not make it home? Right? If he made it home, then this. If he didn't make it home, then that. But then there's still another fork in the road. Did they hurt Sebastian, or did they take him and place him somewhere? Like a behavioral center, corrective place where, I mean, they're not going to tell that they have the kid, right? I mean, there's a lot of those places like that. So it's just something that I think that we need to continue to examine, but I think we also need to be mindful that no matter what the outcome is, we just don't know what happened to Sebastian next, and we really need to find out what happened and find out where he is. That's like the most important thing that we can do. Um so yeah. Yeah, hindsight has a lot of great videos, guys. I mean, she does, and that's the thing. I suck at TikTok. I do too. Okay, and my phone is so out of storage. It's not even funny. Like, it is so bad. So I have to go through there and get some of that stuff out. Oh, also, also, I wanted to give you guys an update too, because our friend Lady for Justice. Give me a second. Here we go. Yes. Okay. So she's our friend that we've been reviewing her content when it comes to Gannon Stauch, right? And it appears that because Letitia is getting a new trial, the excuse me, interview room video that Lady Justice True Crime had paid for is not going to be sent to her. And that was the second part to the interview that we were reviewing, right? Where it's Landon's interview. And then Al comes in. So really interesting, right? And it sucks. Damn it, Letitia. So I'm in the process of uploading part 10 of Letitia Stauch docuseries. I have some bad news. I have just been notified that they will not be sending me the videos of Landon's interview that I had previously paid for and have been waiting for. Due to the recent overturning of her conviction, they will not release any more information on this case. I do, however, have everything else and will continue to make videos following the timeline. So fantastic, right? And thank you. And I told her, thank you for your hard work. But it, they're saying due to the Stauch case being remanded for trial and the case being reopened, we can no longer release the records you have requested. Damn. Damn. You know, it. All that is unseen. What WTF? I mean, hey, Seth. Hey, hon. Goodness sakes. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get the first part and then I'm going to put in the part with Melissa Jade, but I do have to edit the crap out of it because Melissa Jade is putting in a lot of commentary and I just don't want to, do the commentary. I want to just do the interview part and maybe a little bit of her commentary, right? That I can't take out, which is fine. But I think I might have to do it that way. So that's going to be a little bit of a delay in our Gannon Stauch coverage. Which sucks because you know what, Letitia, I just hate that she's getting another trial, but I understand why. Um, my daughter's mother-in-law sent her a beautiful wind chime when she lost her baby. Oh, it's wooden and in the middle is a heart with a beautiful message carved in it. It sounds so pretty. Oh, I know. And Jen has like so many pretty wind chimes. Um, as well. And so I told her, "You pick the wind chime because you have really pretty ones at your house." And she's like, "Oh," she's like, "I didn't pick those ones." And she said her mom did. So we might we might have to have her mom let us know which ones are really great, for Dana and the kids, because that'd be something nice. I think that's so nice. Um Seth says the evidence that is heard from their own mouth, we already know he was living in hell and being abused by those that were supposed to protect him. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hmm. That's why there should always be a situation of charges when it comes to a child. That if someone's in a position of trust, it should be even more severe, in my opinion. You know? I know. I'm trying to keep the hope too, Faye, because they were like Devlin's favorite color was blue. And I'm like, well, maybe it's still blue. And so then, but then even in the title, I was like, well, who was Devlin? Let's go over who he is. Because I don't like saying that someone's not out there when I don't know, Faye. And I hate saying either way if I don't know. That's what really bugs me because I won't say it. Even if some days I'm like, I don't think Devlin's out there alive anymore because he would have got a hold of somebody. And then but I try not to just dwell on that because I want to keep an open mind and I want to keep the faith and hope. Um, so Seth, that's funny. I was down there today. I skipped, what was it, yesterday? Yeah. No, I've been going hard. I was on Jen's channel this morning. I've been making the rounds on YouTube. So, yeah, but no, I actually got some sleep from Sunday to Monday, and today it was like, okay, I got some sleep. Sometimes I'm running on like 4 hours, if that. So, yeah. Yeah, Letitia was getting good. Yeah, and when you hear her jail calls and stuff, she has no remorse. She's a nut. She's a nut. But, another thing that when I was on Jen's panel earlier today that we were talking about is that, you know, whoever has Sebastian could be moving him around, and I haven't, and even during the search, depending on who had Sebastian, right? Because even Letitia, she was moving Gannon around. And I'm not saying that, you know, because it could be either way. I mean, we just don't know. But I think that there's a possibility that they could have even been making moves still. And that's something that again is going to be another fork in the road. Like, okay, if Sebastian didn't make it home, then who did they give him to? And did they pass him off somewhere and keep him somewhere for a while and then bring him to another spot? Or how did that work? Was there any money transferred, right, from Chris and Katie's bank accounts or Mama Socks? So, aw. I know, Seth. I know. It's felt by everybody, even, I didn't even know Tony as well as you guys did. I did not, unfortunately. But what I did know of him, I can only imagine. Seth says Tony is my brother and he is loved and will be missed. The hole left is massive. I know, Seth. I know. I know. Yeah. Well, and I have been lucky enough to only see good things around, and I'm glad. Um because it seems like a lot of people supported Tony. Um yeah. Well, and that's what makes me wonder as well, all that is unseen, all of those miles on KK's van. Yeah. And they had access to properties. So if there was a vacant property that, say, the owners live in California, just as a hypothetical, no one would know that Sebastian was being held somewhere in a basement, right? Like Katie says, in a basement. And that's what, these are the things that go around in my head. Like, she said this, right? But then again, is she just being an ass, you know? So that's where I have to, figure that out. I'm like, is she just being an ass? And, telling Heather Cohen he's been trafficked, he's in a basement, he's this, so because she did bring that up and she said, check out the D web, right? So yeah, go to the dark side, right? And then it's like, why would she say that? Why would she put that out there like that, especially with the PI? Because if you tell a PI something, a good one will look into that. I mean, even if it's doesn't seem like a big deal, because again, we need to remember the leakage and what they were saying to important people, not necessarily what they were saying online to all of us, because they were showboating a lot. They were trying to be, we're the cool kids in town, and whatever that means is stupid because we're all old people. We're all old farts over here, well over the age of a teenager, or even our early 20s or 30s. So, but it's what they were saying to the people that really counted, right? And Heather would have been one of those people, I think. Because even though they were very disrespectful to her, I think that they also knew that they were talking to a private investigator. So I also think that what was said to the Hatfield and McCoys is a whole nother thing as well, because I do find it odd that Chris would blurt that crap out to a guy that he thinks has been in law enforcement for 20 some odd years, or however long, respectfully. Um, so again, it's those conversations. It's the ones that he thought was one-on-one. It's the one it's those ones that he didn't think were gonna get out. Even the one with Nerdy Addict. And I mean, I don't even know that much about that guy. But what I will say is that Chris thought that he was gonna, bully him into keeping quiet about the story, and he let it all hang out. Because Chris just him, right? So just makes you wonder. But I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot to what's been said. Um exactly, my PTSD. That's so well said. That is so well said. I'm so sorry he will still be surrounding you and listening to you when you need his word to help reassure and strengthen you. That's right, my PTSD. Um, and he's still protecting Sebastian. I know that's right. Thank you, Detroit. Aw, Bo. In my opinion, CP's word salad sagas, they're, yeah, truth, nuggets of truth in there. Yeah, exactly, Chuchi. I think so too. We just got to figure out what's the truth in the nugget and what's the lies. Right. And the thing is that even with the Texas Roadhouse footage, I mean, I can absolutely see um why Katie would have tried to be on camera, right? I shouldn't even say just with the Texas Roadhouse footage, but she's going different places during the day, and then she's going back home, and then she's leaving out again, right? And then they're going back out. And again, I just don't know what they were doing when they came to find out that they weren't going to be able to bowl. Because again, Katie lied to us about that several times, and so did Chris. Oh, they just played games instead. We just played games instead. No, you didn't. Apparently, you were only there for 10 minutes. So what did you do after you left the bowling alley? Because you couldn't have possibly just went straight over to Texas Roadhouse. I mean, maybe they would have eaten at 7:30 or 8, but that's still kind of late to go eat. I don't know, especially on a school night. Maybe it's a little bit more relaxed, but again, it just seems like something isn't right, but it also seems like Katie was trying to make it a point to be on camera. And those are the times where we know they're being truthful. There's a lot of time in the day that's not accounted for, in my opinion. That's kind of been, minimized. My PTSD says CP is a butt nugget. That's funny. He is. In my opinion. Where was the guy in the card game supposedly held? No, that was alleged to have happened on Friday. Right? I just don't know if I believe that. It would have been February 23rd. Now, I can't find any lives on it that are not behind a paywall either. Because what Terry Lynn also did was she put a lot of her shit behind a paywall, but it's not even worth paying for because it's so distorted from reality, in my opinion. If there was a poker game, I would hope she had brought her ass to the police station and told them about it. I thought they were home before they went to eat. Yeah, so they get up, right? They do the spaghetti pancakes. They get on a FaceTime to show people the spaghetti pancakes and to brag, right? And then Katie allegedly goes over to Dara's house to pick up her niece, and then they go to BJ's and meet her mom, right? Apparently Melissa and Cassie were at BJ's. They meet up there. That's where Sebastian has a colossal popcorn and Katie buys snacks, right? And then Chris says that all happened before noon or around noon, right? And then they go home, they drop off, and it was just me and Bubba. She says, it was just me and Bubba. All right. So she has Bubba and she's poor Sebastian. She's driving him home to drop off the snacks. So they do chill at home for a little while, I suppose. Because look, if they're doing all that before noon and then they're getting back home, BJ's is not far, guys. It's in Goodlettsville. Everything's right the hell there. That's another thing that you just don't understand unless you are there, right? I mean, you could see it on the map. We could pull it up on the Google thing. But once you realize like, wow, I mean, I could just make this trip in like, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Like it's not like it's, in another area. Even though it's a neighboring town. And so, yeah, I mean, what did they do after noon? What time did they arrive at the bowling alley? Because if they got there at 3:00, right, what'd they do for the 3 hours? Or 2:00, what'd they do for 2 hours? An hour, you could do a lot in an hour, but it's still, but yeah, how long? And then they went home and dropped off snacks. Depends on how much crap they got. They put it away and then they headed out to do bowling. But if they only stayed for 10 minutes, then what did they do after that instead of bowling? Again, time unaccounted for. Katie says that they made it home from Texas Roadhouse at about 7:00, and then 15 minutes later, he's taking out the trash. But we don't know that. And then we have more time that's unaccounted for because at 9:00, she says that Sebastian decided to come out of his room that he was playing in and say, "Good night, mama, good night, puppies." Right? And then what? Right? We don't know. There was a thud. There was a noise at 10:00 that turned into a thud that all of a sudden became a bang. Right? I went to wake him up for school and he wasn't there. Bullshit, Katie. Bullshit. You know what? I mean, it's just bullshit. So they did. I mean, they did. They went home to deliver the snacks. But still, there's a lot of lapses in time. And one thing we know for sure is that Sebastian left the Texas Roadhouse about 6:24 p.m. About 6:24 p.m. They were pulling out. Yeah, Coffee Crime and Cat says, I've always had to call ahead to Texas Roadhouse or I'll have to wait for my table. Did she do that? So they do have a way that you can set everything up through your cell phone. And there's also like ways to scan the QR codes and things like that so you can set up for a table that way. So I'm guessing that she did that. But that's a good question because I mean they're always packed. Now when we went there, one of the gals had made the reservation for us, which was really, really sweet and everything. And plus I was running late because it was raining and I kind of got turned around when I was leaving Jen's house. So I had to call them and be like, I'm running a little late. But we were there about 1:00, 12:30, 1:00. And it was busy as hell on a Sunday. So, but I mean, there's people waiting. I mean, they just went right in and were sat. So I'm thinking that they were on a list already, and that would require them, to be also, and Katie would be hooking into their system on that as well. So there would be absolutely a digital footprint of that. And, a lot of that, in my opinion, was deliberate by Katie. Be on camera for the majority of the time. I don't know, Faye, that is such a great question. Where was Terry Bowersock's Monday morning? Where was Terry? My Texas Roadhouse requires in-person putting on the list. Oh, okay. Yeah, they went right in, so they had to have been on the list already. Um, yeah, exactly. I know. Exactly. Quiet neglect to hear a thud and not check, in my opinion. Yeah. She never checked except for when she was on Nancy Grace. And Nancy Grace said, "Did you check?" And she said, yeah, that she asked him, "Bubba, did you fall out of the bed?" And he said, "No, ma'am." Right? But until then, it was never a check on him. Because you could imagine what you may find if you go into a 15-year-old's room, is what she said. 15-year-old boy's room, is what she said. Wow. In my opinion, painting Sebastian in a bad light. Yeah, yeah. No, after apparently nobody left the house after the Texas Roadhouse. There's no evidence that anybody left the house after that, you know. But then again, we have the 3 a.m. lights. We do have the 3 a.m. lights. The fact is that LE found no scent of Sebastian outside the house, so there's no way he threw the trash out, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I think there's a lot of things that lead me to believe that the trash wasn't taken out by Sebastian. Also, with Katie pushing that Naruto run, she pushes the Naruto run in April. She tells us that, and here I am like an idiot, like, oh, that's good to know. Okay, now we can identify him better. Okay, yeah, whatever. Pisses me off and just wastes my time. And, but come to find out, then Seth puts the video up of Sebastian running. He's not running like that. Then we hear Katie saying it again to the PI. He's got a very distinctive body language, a very distinctive run. Bull crap. That's a lie. So where's Snaggletooth? Well, and apparently, according to Heather PI, there were several people telling her that Mama Sock's Cruella was over by Warsham's. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It makes you wonder, right by the storage units. I don't know. And again, with Melissa's post as well. Melissa saying that, they were searching since 6:30 a.m. Yeah, I wonder about that too. My PTSD, I wonder about that too. Yeah, for me, she says the 3 a.m. lights point towards CP being there and bad things happen. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. And, that's the explanation if Sebastian did make it home. I just don't think that they were going to do anything to draw attention unless there was some kind of a switch off. In terms of somebody else driving Katie's van home, and then, you know, Katie, that's how she got back into the house. I don't think they forgot anything. I think that they would have said, screw it, we'll buy new stuff. I don't think anything was that important. I mean, because Sebastian left without his medication, right? Sebastian left without his switch. Sebastian left without everything. So what were they planning on, putting in the bag that he would so desperately need? You could always go buy new clothes, new shoes, new anything. Glasses, you kind of need to get a new prescription for those. So yeah, if he took his glasses, then, he's not going to need a new pair of those for a while. That could be an indication that he's still alive out there if he's got his glasses. You know, that's the way I think of it anyway. Because, you know, I do believe when the FBI has on Sebastian's missing flyer that they believe he was kidnapped. Also think they don't put out a $50,000 reward for a kid that ran away. So he heads back to his job after the lights, and then KP wakes up to Sebastian gone, supposedly. Bunch of liars. Yeah, and her, you know, her light was on at 3 a.m. in her room, you know, and then it was off, you know. Faye says the officer at dispatch said at the house where the mom and 4 individuals, based on Seth, if I remember, were Kathy, Melissa, Lori, and her son. No Terry, in my opinion, allegedly. No Terry. No Terry. No. And it was supposedly Katie, Kathy, and Lori. And I do believe Melissa. The bite marks and scratch marks on CP's arm and the dent in the garage door leads me to believe CP was there and there was a struggle, in my opinion. Very well could have been. Very well could have been, Detroit. I mean, and that's the thing. We just don't know. We just don't know. Yeah, they said he had a flashlight, a keychain flashlight, yellow, right? And apparently they said he liked to fidget with that flashlight, that it wasn't really even working. I know. And that's the crazy part. I know what you're saying, though. All that is unseen. It's a mess. It is a mess. Yeah, that's what I heard too, Faye, that it wasn't even working. You know? So, yeah. Yeah, Detroit says I don't think it was working either. Yeah. Mhm. Unbelievable. So, you know, that's kind of what we're left to kind of, I don't know, unpack or decipher too. But again, I want to go back to the beginning because there was a lot of things that was happening before Sebastian went missing. Um, a lot of changes were supposed to be coming, and I don't know if, you know, they decided that they didn't want Sebastian to go live with Seth or what the deal was, but it seems like there was a major change of plans some way. Um, So, well, guys, I'm gonna get off of here. I'm gonna see when they will release the vigil for Devlin, and I'll have that video up for you guys. I should be able to make that one really quickly as soon as they put it out. So I'm hoping that we can do that. No shoes, but a flashlight. Just saying, yeah, math, right? I know exactly, exactly. I know took his glasses, but, you know, a flashlight that didn't work. You know, the shoes are another thing too. We just don't even know, but I mean, as far as we know, the shoes were all accounted for at the house, but that doesn't mean that he didn't have an extra pair. It doesn't mean that Katie didn't buy him an extra pair, you know, and burn the receipt or whatever. And you know, unfortunately, I don't know how much police work has been done here or detective work, what all they've looked into, or have they just, you know, chalked it up to, oh well, you know, it just makes you wonder. Um, but yeah, so we will be back live. Let's see. I want to do a day show. So we'll probably be back live like around 2:30 p.m. Um, so I'm going to be working on some things to get out for our day show, and then of course we'll do night court too. But thank you guys all so much for being here. Just please say prayers for everybody, you know, Devlin, Sebastian, Seth, and Tony. You know, all of our friends, Sebastian's army as a whole. Look, guys, it's just it's a very sad thing for Sebastian's army, right? Um, you know, I don't even think that it's really sunk in yet. So, but I appreciate you guys and all of your love and support, and you know, just say prayers for Dana and the family, and for Seth, and of course always for Sebastian. Um And let's say prayers that Letitia Stout stays where she belongs. So, all right, guys, I love you all very, very much. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day.